Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the One Meal Channel. And if you are new here, then welcome. My name is Nathan. I make a lot of food every single day, and usually it's a massive meal that I can eat once and will satisfy me for the rest of the day. People who have been watching this channel for a long time agree that eating a meal of their own while watching these videos or enjoying it with a beverage is the best way to consume this content from beginning to end. And so if you are one of those people and want to join them, feel free to grab some food of your own or a beverage. So with that, let's get into the rest of the video. Hello. As I said yesterday, we are doing something pretty unique today. We're going to be departing from the typical chicken and rice, the crock pot meals, and we're going to be doing a roast chicken today. That's not entirely true, because we are going to end up just putting this into a crock pot. But regardless, we're basically going to use the oven for the first time in this channel's history. I've already gotten a head start on things so as to not waste your time. I have our roast chicken that we have from the store. I've already melted up some butter and put the assorted seasonings that we're going to have in here. We have some garlic salt, some pepper. The oven preheated as well, parsley, and some rosemary. So all of this is going to come together quite well. I'm going to give this a quick taste. Yes, I know the oven is flashing at me to let me know that it's preheated, but I am well aware. And then some carrots, which is going to be perfect. I think we might as well just roast these ahead of time before we prepare for our crock pot meal, which will be, in fact, chicken and dumplings. So I don't have any butcher's twine, so I will not be able to put this into a nice little arrangement. But that's fine, because we're not serving this for anybody else, and we're not doing any sort of special presentation. But I did want to at least try pulling up the chicken skin, which I have not done in a very long time, if at all. And I noticed that using a spoon and pushing it underneath after letting this sit out from, I had this in the fridge, I let it sit for about a half hour. Using a spoon allows you to get that skin off pretty easily, and it's been the same on both sides. So I feel like that's been good. I believe you're supposed to get the skin up out of the chicken leg, and there's this little lining here that kind of acts as a partition between the breast and the leg. I noticed that if you put the back of the spoon in through the bottom of the leg here, right, I just did it the first time. Perfect. You're able to get through here pretty easily. Now, of course, these are sharper edges at the back of the spoon, so you got to be a little bit more careful not to break the skin. But I noticed that actually worked out for me, no problem. Now, with that being said, let's do the risky part and start filling in the skin with some of this butter. In fact, I will move this over here, just so we make as little of a mess as possible. Perfect, that looks good. Try to spread it around pretty evenly in there. I think 2 spoonfuls around the breast makes sense on each side. Ooh, almost spilled that, but we didn't. And I'm going to see if we can get some of this down in this little area here. I think it could be better. It actually did work. Not so bad. Yeah, it was actually in there. You can see it there, falling on the bottom. Good. Let me wash my hands real quick, and we'll do a more traditional butter brush along the side of it. Forgot to tell you, I have the oven preheated to 450 degrees. And what we're going to do is we're just going to roast it for a quick 10. Move it down to 350 degrees. And keep it in there for another hour and 15 minutes rather. I'm not actually paying close attention into how long we're going to have the chicken in there, because I'm going to put a thermometer that will tell me when the internal temperature reaches 185 degrees. So this is going to turn out excellent. We have the inside buttered. We're thoroughly buttering the outside. I think that little bit of parsley and rosemary that we added is doing a good job coating the chicken. Again, typically I wouldn't worry about this or put this much effort into a chicken that's just going to end up in the crock pot anyway. We're going to take it apart, part it out, and then put it in the crock pot. So typically I wouldn't worry about this, but it's about new experiences, right? Just because the purpose of this chicken is to be parted out and put into a crock pot doesn't mean that we can't show it a little bit of love and care and get a little bit more comfortable with doing something that we haven't done before. I'm going to move this just a little bit. Yeah, knowing that we're just going to throw this in a crock pot, what that ends up doing for us just helps us get all of the stress out of our heads, because we know even if we mess up, it's not going to be a big deal. Even if the chicken gets overcooked, the skin doesn't work out and turn out the way we want, well, you're just going to throw it into a big broth anyway that's going to sit there for hours. It's going to soak back up with all of those juices and all those additional flavors. Now, me, on the other hand, I'm still very stressed because I have to film a video and I have to show all of you what I'm doing. So if I mess up, I can't keep it to myself. The whole world is going to know. So yeah, like I said, if you're going to be preparing this for another person, if I was preparing this for another person, I would have invested in some butcher's twine and tied the legs and the wings up. But again, I'm not too concerned about it. I don't think it will affect the cooking, and if it does, then well, we'll learn for next time. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that turned out really well. Really good consistency. So if I remember correctly, recommendation of our directions, our reference material, let's call it. Let's put this kind of near the center here. How do I want to do this? I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to transfer this directly to my tray already. Yeah. I think that's what we're going to do. So just transfer it directly to our tray. I grab a knife. We'll squeeze our lemon on top now. This will allow all the lemon juices to flow off onto the tray below, so that's not wasted. I'm squeezing very gently, just because I don't want to make a huge mess everywhere. As I toss it off to the side. So let's put this over the leg. This over the wing, and over the top again. Good, 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 good. I'm going to take this and put these into the cavity. This will help keep the chicken's shape kind of propped up. That's what I feel like it's usually there for. They say it's there to add more flavors to the chicken. I think it's just there to keep it nice and propped up. And when you have the legs tied in on each other, it's just adds even more. Okay, we're almost done. Well, we're not even close to being done, but we're almost ready to put this into the oven. So I think I'll just add a little bit of rosemary to this. More to the opening here. We'll call that good. I'm going to wash my hands one more time, just so I don't make a mess of all of the things that we're working with right here. Sorry about the sink being full of dishes and things like that. Our dishwasher is still full and I've yet to put everything away. So there's our tray. I say, let's put our carrots in here and line them up. Some roast carrots, I think that'll be good. And then finally, I know some people like to cook their chicken with a little base of wine at the bottom. I don't have any wine and I'm not a big drinker, even if the alcohol gets burnt off. I'm just going to use some chicken stock. So I'll just put some chicken stock down here on the pan. And that should be about a cup. That's evenly kind of distributed on the bottom here. Good. Yeah, that looks good. So I think that's about everything for us. Let me grab the temperature reading gauge, otherwise known as a thermometer. Let me see what we can get for ourselves. So turn this on. It's a timer. Thermometer temp. We're going to do 185. We can either insert this into chicken breast, or we can insert this into the meaty part of the lower thigh. And I was going to put it into the lower thigh, but that doesn't seem to be working out, so yeah, we'll go with the breast. There we go. Perfect. Alright, and be best careful not to spill any of the chicken broth. Or to cause any knots. I might have just caused a knot in this. Give me a sec. Did I just put a second knot in it? I did. I just put a second knot in it. Boom. Alright, that's better. Alright, we're going to open this up. Let me get a... just a little bit. Here we go. Perfect. Great. So let's get our thermometer out. 185 seems reasonable. At 450, like I said, we'll leave that in there for 10 minutes. And then we'll turn it down to 350 and just kind of baste every 30 minutes. So I don't know if I'm going to show you that whole process, but I definitely will chat with you again when we take it out. So thanks for watching. We're not done yet. Just stick around a little longer. All right, it's been about a half hour since we changed the temperature to 350 degrees. And by the way, it smells amazing in here. That's the first thing that's most important. I looked at a couple of guides for this, and they recommended like basting the chicken every 30 minutes. And you know what? I actually don't think that I'm going to do that. But I do want us to take a moment, kind of halfway through, to get a look at this. And just give you an idea of how this process is playing out. So first and foremost, the temperature gauge that we have has us sitting at about 75 degrees. So obviously super raw, not ready to come out yet. I placed a second pan underneath, just in case there are any drippings that I missed. But the real reason why I want to pull this out when I did is because I want a chance to look at these carrots. I want to see if these carrots are cooked all the way through. Because if so, I do not want them to go all the way to the end because they'll be all soft and mushy. So I always like to test with a spoon. I can get through it with a spoon. It's cooked, and it's I definitely can't get through it all the way with a spoon. All right, good to know. Good to know. I won't worry about it then. I'll put this carrot back, and although a good portion of liquid is still there at the bottom, a lot of it has completely evaporated out because of the temperature. So instead of basting the chicken, I'm looking at it now, there's still a significant amount of moisture around the skin. It looks really good. And I believe that's because we have this chicken broth sitting here coating the bottom of this pan. So what we're going to do is we're just going to fill up this pan again. Take a quick look at it. Yeah, I think we're going to add a little bit more. We're just going to allow it to evaporate off. So again, we have a second pan underneath this in case the drippings do in fact overflow. But so far that hasn't really been an issue. I have a couple of drippings that have come off the side, and it's worked out just fine for us. So let's take this again. Be really careful. Perfect. We'll move this all inside. Great. Yeah, I would like to keep a good portion of the drippings if I can. And the reason for that is I would like to incorporate that into our chicken stock, or excuse me, into our chicken and dumplings, the stock that's used there. So you got a good look at it when I brought it up. Let's take a look at it here inside of the oven. Not bad. All right, we'll give it another 30 minutes. I won't show you every step of the way. I think the next time you'll see me, I'll be cutting the chicken up. All right, so it's been a couple of hours, and we just got the temperature up to 185 internal degrees inside the chicken. The skin is extremely crispy, which is awesome. I'm gonna let this cool down for a few minutes, then I'm gonna transfer it over to a cutting board and then break this chicken down so we'll be ready for the chicken dumplings. I said it before, but the skin here, it's really excellent. So it's probably sat for about maybe 20 minutes. And we're just gonna try to pull this off in as big of pieces as we can. It's so hot, this could probably just fall off the bone. So there we are. So that's a leg and a thigh right there. You know what? And it's still really hot. Yeah, if you want to keep the skin crispy, don't cover it either, because it'll just get really soggy. Like I said, I've let it rest for a while and it's still really hot, which is great. Look at that. Other leg and thigh combo right there. Let's take the wing. Good. I'm gonna take this joint off. No need for us to have that. There we go. Perfect. Again, take the joint off. Great. Now let's see what we can do here. I'm tempted to just kind of cut this whole thing in half. Oh yeah, I mean this chicken is just kind of falling off the bone. Yeah. I'm just gonna break that wishbone there at the top. Let's go. Yeah, and it's just extremely hot. You know, if you were serving this to you take this off in slices. For our chicken and dumplings, we're just gonna take it off as a whole piece. Excellent. There's that. Okay, whatever. Yeah, there's the bone right here. Good. Yeah, if we can separate that, the breast will come right off. Perfect. Great. Yeah, and I don't feel any more bones in here. Again, it's still hot, but take this. Yeah. We're going to leave these lemons out of it. We're going to try to save as much of this additional meat as we can. Let's see what we got here. I mean, is this just crispy skin? Certainly feels like it. No bones in here. Because if it is, we're adding that to our chicken and dumplings. Yeah, all of this meat on the backside. See the skin? Now this is like the tailbone. This we won't be throwing in there. Too many bones in that. I'm not going to worry too much about saving all this meat, but we'll give it a quick once over without burning our hands too much. And this, I'll let it cool down a little bit more, and it will make a good stock. So every part of this chicken will go to good use. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to pick this apart anymore. I think this is good enough. So let's get this stuff out of the way. Let's show you what we're left with. So we have 2 chicken breasts, 2 wings, 2 legs, and 2 thighs, and a little bit of leftover meat right here. It's cooked through great and seasoned really well, and we're going to use this as our meat for our chicken and dumplings. So usually we debone everything beforehand. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave the bones in, have everything be just a little bit bigger and a little bit thicker, and that video will come out tomorrow. So I appreciate all of you watching today of us roasting a whole chicken and breaking it down. Tomorrow we will have a full video for you of the chicken and dumplings using what we have here today. My hands are a little bit messy, so I'm gonna say goodbye and wash off the GoPro. Okay, bye.